Okay, we're gonna get started. Make sure that everyone has. I'm gonna move my stuff out of the way here. Okay, does everyone have formula for success?
Yes.
Yes.
No?
Nope.
Okay, so 2 people no. No worries, no worries. Are you kidding? I'm stalling on purpose because I got a few messages that people are running late. My pleasure. Everybody has formula for success? We've got one more over here. Excellent. Okay. And business plan.
Yes, I do.
Did you get one? And one more was over here, right? Perfect. And how many? You're missing one? Okay, so everyone has business plan formula for success. Awesome, we're ready to go. Okay, before we start, I want to get to know, I know a lot of you guys, but I want to get to know and even just for each other because you know what, as a large company, we don't get often, an opportunity to get together and get to know names and where we're from, like which office. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. First name and office.
I'm Wayne from the Aurora office.
Welcome.
Mary from one office.
Vaughn, excellent.
Marcy with Daryl.
Wonderful. Welcome. I started with Daryl King.
Rebecca from Vaughn.
Ethan from Unionville.
Gordon also from Unionville.
Excellent.
Sarah from Aurora.
Aurora.
Mariam from head office. Harry from head office.
Good morning.
Sheldon from head office.
Excellent.
Iman from head
I'm
office.
sorry, your name?
Iman.
Iman. Excellent. From head office. I've seen you a few times. Welcome.
Raquel from head office.
Good morning.
Ellie from head office.
Ali from head office.
Raquel, hi everyone. Sheila from head office.
Sharon, good morning.
Good morning. From Gordon's office. I try to have.
Good morning.
From head office.
If I can direct the conversation, one conversation, please, and of course, it's only mine that matters. One conversation, please. Thank you. Robin,
Yes.
head office.
Yes, I did.
Yes, excellent. See, with all the conversations I said. See, this is why we have to focus, Excellent, thank you. I wore red on top of it.
So it's easier here.
Good morning. Good morning,
Rosa.
Head office. Welcome.
Jen from one office.
Good morning. Good morning. Excellent. Nice to see you.
Rick from Aurora.
Good morning. I love it. He always sits in the corner because he knows he's a little bit of trouble. Now, I believe, Sharon, you need some handouts, right? Okay, here we go. Please have a seat. No worries. There you go. Thank you. Good morning, Anna. I'm not sure, didn't I tell you not to drink that stuff? Close the door, please have a seat. Didn't I? When you coach with me, you're gonna get it all. What is that? You promised me, we have a word, don't share it with anyone. That's your mantra.
Yep.
What is your mantra? Is that in alignment with your mantra for coaching?
It could be.
No.
Myself. Where do I sit?
There's a spot right here for you, darling. Does everybody have handouts? We're all set, right? Okay, awesome. So good morning and happy new year. It's so nice to see everyone. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I know quite a few of you, and I feel blessed to know you guys. My name is Sandra. Last name, of course, is Loretta. I'm also known as Coach Sandra, the in-house coach. I've been with Royal Page for a long time. And these poor guys, they can't get rid of me. So I think I'm here to retire and maybe even beyond that. But I did start in Royal LePage with Daryl King's office. Yes, I did. I started my real estate career in 1993. Can you pretend you have any more? I have to remember that. And then in 97, I actually got my license. I was selling a little bit before before, but wasn't quite patrolled the same way, but I've been in the industry over 20 years. When I came to Royal LePage, I came to work with the King team. And I was Daryl's top agent year after year, and then got a little bit bored and decided I needed to explore something else. Came to head office, and I started coaching back in 2004. And so I've been coaching agents all over North America, and I've been coaching exclusively for head office. But I did work with Richard Robbins. Does anybody know Richard Robbins? And that was an interesting experience, having done that. So I got I have an interesting cross section of experience. I trained under Mike Ferry and succeeded in real estate under Mike Ferry. I worked for Richard Robbins, and I'm a Buffini mentor. So I like to take the best of all three worlds and I bring it to you guys. Because the funny thing is, all of these guys have something important to say, but some of them miss, a couple of key pieces. So when you coach with me or you come to my courses, you'll get a nice cross section of all of them. All right. So now I have some interesting experience coaching sales. I still sell because I like to remain current for my agents. I don't want to teach you guys based on glory years 15 years ago. I want to teach you what it is that you guys are experiencing today. My experience is vast. So as I mentioned, sales, coaching. I was Vivian Reese's executive assistant for a good number of years. I opened offices with her in the sense of manage them and so on. Lots of interesting experience. The only reason why I mention this, because I really don't, it means nothing, but I have a lot of interesting experience. So I want you guys to pick my brain. Okay, I'm here to help. And this class, guys, is for you. Good morning, Lucy. Good morning. Lucy from Unionville. I did the introduction for you. Now you notice I'm in red. See, red shoes.
In red.
That's right, and I did that because red is a good luck color for New Year, right? And this is for you guys, okay? Red for good fortune for you guys. I do wish you guys all the best for 2018. Know that I am available if you guys need me. Always chat my phone, come see me. My email is coachsandra@gmail.com. I just want to get that over. I am on the paging system with each office. If you're having difficulty, just call head office and I'll page. Okay? Any questions about me before we start? No? Okay, so we're going to get going. Today I'm going to show you guys 2 different types of business plans, and we're going to have an opportunity to work on it as well, okay? Because I know when we leave the class, most of us are going to go, okay, that was a great class, and then we forget, right? Because that's normal. I know I do that. So we're going to work on it a little bit together. We're going to have about half hour towards the end of class where you have that opportunity, and you'll have the opportunity to ask me questions as well. Okay? Excellent. Right here, what we have, though, ladies and gentlemen, is a very basic business plan. Now, show of hands, how many agents are in the industry 1 to 2 years? Show of hands. Because I know I've got quite a few of you guys in here. Okay. So devising a business plan when you're new, or if you've never done one, or if you have never tracked your numbers, can be a challenge. And so I don't like stressing anyone out. I like simplicity, quite honestly. I like simplicity. So the easiest and simplest business plan is this. And all this does, I'm just going to let these folks come on in. All this does is give you a little bit of a goal. When you write it down, there are studies that have been done that indicate that when you write down your goals, you actually accomplish it. And this was done by University of Harvard. I should say Harvard as a street in Toronto. Harvard. And what they did was they actually followed a whole bunch of their graduates. The graduates actually wrote down their goals, succeeded. The interesting thing is, out of their group, good morning, ladies, out of their group, only 23% did that, and of course 23% actually succeeded, which is a little bit crazy. Good morning. There's a seat over here. There's one over here, but missing a chair. We'll just have to get a chair. Any other seats that are vacant, guys? Otherwise, let's grab a chair over here. You got a chair, perfect. There's a spot here. Okay, excellent. Are you here with that, Jennifer? Perfect. Okay. I think there's one here. Here. Okay, so first things first, what we're going to be doing is deciding how many days of this year that we're going to be working, okay? That's the first thing that we do. Doesn't matter if you use this business plan or the one that's a little more detailed. How many days do you work? Has anybody actually given that any thought? Does anybody pre-plan their vacation, their time off? Does anybody do that? Show of hands? None of us, right? Do you pre-plan? You pre-plan? You pre-plan? Look at how many. Not very. Whenever the money comes. You know what I love about you in the class? You always say when everybody is thinking, but you're afraid to say it. So please do not put a filter on and just keep it coming. Because it helps. She's absolutely right, whenever the money comes. Because what we end up doing in real estate is we allow the business to run us instead of us running the business. And this is what makes it tricky. You know, we are president and CEO of our company, but yet we're not running our company. It runs us. It's a little bit tricky for us. Right? True statement, right? And a lot of us are, I remember one of my mentors calling it Pop-Tart. They're a Pop-Tart agent. So whenever you just pop and you go, whenever it comes, you jump and go. What your business plan does is help you with that. It helps you with that. Okay, come on in, welcome. All right, so how many days out of the week are we gonna work? I like to just round it off because you can see we don't really have an idea of how many days. Does anybody have an idea? How many days you like to work? How much? 7 days a week, right? Right, and how about in the year, in general? How many days do you want to work in the year? Yeah,
7 days.
right? If you're working 7 days, that's 365, right? That's a bit difficult, right? That's a bit difficult. Pleasure. Okay, I like to round it off. I like simplicity, especially of the code. I automatically turn to 10 months, okay? And why do I say 10 months? I say 10 months because we're all going to take some time off here and there. We're all going to have a long weekend. And we also experience seasonal lows, right? So I'm going to take all of that into account. So in the first step one, we determined 10 months. Okay, so there it is. Now when we base it on average commission, we now start to break down a little bit and give you guys a little bit of vision or, you know, a prize at the end of the tunnel. So who wants to help me out here? Who wants to be my guinea pig? I need a volunteer. And if I don't get a volunteer, I'll volunteer. Anybody? I'm not joking. Come on, guys. Anna. I love that smile. What's up? How much money do you want to make this year?
$100,000.
100,000. Oh, I like it. You went easy on me this morning. Okay. Did you do that on purpose? Of course. So Adam wants to make 100,000 for the year. Does this match anybody else? Show of hands. If you make 100,000, are you happy? Now we're talking gross numbers when we're dealing with this particular business plan. We're dealing with gross numbers. Okay, so according to this, now because he's given me 100,000, and because I'm saying 10 months, I'm going to round off the commission only so that it makes it easier for us to kind of grasp at what's the concept of doing this very simple business plan. So I'm going to say commission is $10,000. Okay, $10,000. You can see how the number becomes easier now, and we can understand the concept. So how many deals do we have to do a month? Well, let's break it down even. How many deals per year do we need to do to make 100,000? How much? 10, right? And which means how many per month? 1.
Less than 1.
So 10 deals per year. Who said, what was that?
Less than 1.
It is less than 1, but we're going to round it off, right? We'll round it off. So 1 per month. We're basing it, don't forget, Sheldon, we're basing it on 10 months work year. Yeah, 10 months work year. Okay, so 10 months. So based on that, 1 a month. But if you're looking at it the way Sheldon's looking at it, 12 months, or like Robin looks at it, 7 days a week, then it is less than 1, okay? But we're gonna say 10 months, we'll use that. Now, how do we get there? Any idea how we get there? What do I have to do to get one deal? We have to generate leads, right? Do we know how many people we need to talk to? And this is where lies in the challenge, okay? This is where agents have a bit of difficulty when it comes to how do I get there? I don't know how to get there. It's not that you guys are not capable. And then you know what ends up happening too is you start beating yourself up. You start questioning yourself. Why did I do that? Oh, you know, maybe if we think of all kinds of crazy stuff that goes up in here in our head, right? Like, I should have never worn that outfit. It made my butt look too big. That's why I didn't get the listing. Who do I think I am? Right? We think of all kinds of crazy stuff. True? Right? Especially, no. She's sensational, that's why. I'm surprised you're not in red today. You always have stuff in red.
I know, today's different.
I love it. Just for those that who walked in late, I'd like you guys to introduce yourselves. Over here, from head office. Excellent. Your turn, darling.
Yes, Tatiana Rolinski from Keswick office,
Imagine-
but work everywhere.
Wherever the card takes us. Who else walked in late that I didn't get?
Jennifer Valenzuela.
Good morning. And over here. Excellent. All right, good. Now we got it. Lucy, did I? Oh, yeah, you introduced you. I'm getting old. Things fall off the queue, guys. Okay, so let's keep going. Any of the agents that I coach, talk to me about numbers. What is the number? Thank you. Someone actually listens to me. 250 contacts equals 1 deal. Did you guys do that? 250 contacts equals 1 deal. Okay, so now we know we have to do in 1 month, because this is 1 month, we have to talk to 250 people. Now, if I decide to work 5 days a week, I gotta now break this down. So let's see here, let's break this down per week. What is this number divided by 4? Where are my nerds in the class? How much? Oh, thank you. It's about 60. We're gonna round off about 62. Okay? So it's about 62. I think it's 62.5. 62 per week. And if I work 5 days a week, how many is it?
12.
About 12 contacts, right? Now, if I decide to work 3 days, how many contacts per day? 20 contacts. If I decide to work 7 days a week, how many contacts? How much? So it's 5. 5 contacts, okay? Do you see how you are actually in control of your business? Right away, I want to show you from the get-go how much control you're in your business. Anybody tracking their numbers like this? Excellent. I know a few of you guys because I'm coaching you guys. Is everybody over here that's doing their job and over here nobody is? Who tracks their numbers? Show of hands. Oh, I like that to an extent. I love the honesty. Because isn't it the truth? I know. Yeah.
I just missed something. Can you just go through that one more time? You need 250 contacts to get 1 deal.
Yes.
And then
So
per month.
This is per month, right? Because 1 deal, we're doing 1 deal per month.
Right.
So therefore, 250 contacts per month. Then when you break it down, you divide it per week. So take 250 divided by 4. You get approximately 62. Then you take that number and you divide it again by 5, or whatever number it is that you want to work, and you get that number.
That should be, you have 12 contacts a week, that should be a day.
That's 55.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
yes,
why
yes.
I was
There we go.
Yeah, me too.
Did I miss
Then I did the math again.
I have my coffee over there, I gotta finish it. Maybe I should guzzle it right now in front of you guys. So there it is, okay? So now you have that little bit of clarity. Now, what constitutes a contact? And you can see over here, Now, someone read that to me. Look, I don't have the pointer, you know, that little light. So I'm like a real teacher today. What is a contact? A contact is someone you had a positive conversation with, preferably about real estate, preferably. But if it's not about real estate, I still take it. As a coach, I take it as a contact. Why?
Someday, somewhere, maybe.
Thank you. Or if they're not interested, but you connected with them and they have a lot of respect for you and really like you, they'll refer business to you. So they will be a positive ambassador for you, okay? So now, what else? It's a new contact, right? So someone brand new, what does that mean?
Just first time speaking.
That's right, that's a newly generated contact, okay? It's also a current contact. What does that mean, a current contact?
They're breathing, they're active, they're not stale.
They're not stale and they're active, okay? So you are currently working with them. These are clients that you either know are going to be working like towards an appointment. So for instance, if I got two newly generated contacts that have indicated to me that I am going to, that they're going to sell in the spring, that becomes a current contact, okay? Because now I got to work on them. So leads that I got last week that now I'm working on this week, that could be a current contact depending on what happened with that conversation. Okay, so people that you're working with right now already, or newly generated leads that you got like a week or 2 weeks ago that require attention, immediate attention, because they have indicated they wanted to sell, okay? And last but not least, it's an old contact that is maintained or revised. What does that mean? Past client, exactly. So a past client that you've already sold, and obviously you can't sell them again unless, God forbid, they're having challenges keeping up with the mortgage. But you sold them a home maybe last summer or something. You want to maintain that contact. Here's the other thing too. Let's say we prospected last fall, and then we kind of stopped because, you know what, with the holidays and winter and stuff like that, we kind of put things on hold. And we forgot all about them, but they were good leads. Those are old leads that need to be revived, okay? So when we are counting leads or contacts, the way that we count them is newly generated. Oh my goodness, there's no. All right, I'm gonna write on here. I'm gonna be innovative. I'm gonna write on that. So we're looking at newly generated. We're looking at current. We're looking at old, okay? And we're consistently doing it. Remember from our past experience that we just looked at here that Adam is working on, he is to make 62 contacts a week, okay? Where does that 62 contacts come from? It comes from all three of these. See, a lot of gurus out there, like if you are working solely with Mike Ferry, he's all about the hunt. So I'm going to talk about the hunt in a different way, because really what we're doing is we're hunting for leads. We're hunting for contacts on a weekly basis. Fair statement, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna say that we're hunting for pheasants, just to give you something tangible and to help you understand the concept of what I'm talking about. So we all go out, we go hunting, and we hunt 62 pheasants. We take our pheasants and we put them in the corner. Look at that, great, we hunted, we did it, we got 62 pheasants this week, okay? Now Monday rolls around again, oh geez, we gotta do 62 again. So we go out hunting, we gather 62 more pheasants, put them in the corner. Well, what happens to the pheasants from last week? Pardon? They start to rot. So we have to keep those pheasants going. Just because we hunted them and we put them in the corner doesn't mean. We have to now make sure that our hard work comes to fruition, right? And that's why I say newly generated, current, as well as old. So I like to work backwards because the old ones are people that we've either made a connection with or we've already, like they already have our trust because they did work with us, right? So of the 62 contacts, we're gonna start with our old contacts first. So our databases, our center of influence, our past clients, that's who we call first. So Adam, I'm gonna keep going
Sure.
with you as an example. Thank you, since you're drinking.
Waking up here.
Okay, so Adam, how many? And you and I have set a goal for this week.
Yes,
Okay.
these are actually my goals, but,
Well, your numbers are a lot higher though
Yes.
than what you're going for.
yeah, of course.
So I know that you're gonna have to modify, but just for the sake of an example, play with me. So you hit, how many of your old clients are you contacting this week?
So this week in total,
How many do you have that you can contact? Yes.
I have the entire database.
So how many this week do you plan on calling?
This week, probably around 50.
Okay, so his numbers, just so you know, so what I'm gonna do, Adam, is I'm gonna play with your actual numbers. Is that okay if I share that?
My actual numbers, that's fine. My actual contacts is,
It's actually 125.
Yeah, 125.
That's Adam's goal that he works with me on. Okay, so you have how many from your database? 50?
50.
Okay, so he's got 50 from here that he's gonna call at least once. Of your current, how many?
That's between the current and old, so it'd be 25 and 25.
25 and 20, and now I'm making a mess with this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, 25 and 25, okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna assume that you're calling these people probably what, once?
Yes,
Okay,
those are contacts, those are me picking up the phone talking to them.
that's right. No, once in a week. This is only 1 week. This number 125 is Adam's number for the week, okay? So what we're doing is I'm showing you guys how to count these numbers. So he's already decided from past clients and current, it's 50. So we're just dividing it for simplicity's sake. 25 people are from his database and center of influence. He's gonna call them once, right? Unless there's something that maybe transpires, he'll call them more than once. But for the sake of the simple explanation, he's calling these people once. So of the 125, he's already got 25 contacts, okay? We've got current contacts, 25. Let's say he talks to them twice, okay? Because he's trying to seal the deal, trying to get them to do appointments, calling them with information. He speaks to them twice. That now is 50, because we take 25 people that you speak to twice becomes now 50 contacts. So we're now at 75, right? So what's 75? So 125 minus 75. How much? 50. So now Adam has to go hunting for 50 new contacts. And that's how he's going to get. So we got 25 plus 50 plus 50 out of 125. Do you see how it works? This one here, this one,
Yeah.
this one here is his current that he spoke to twice.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a current client, let's say you have one, and you speak to them 3 times that week, that's 3 contacts. Okay, and a lot of people say, oh, really? And I'll say, yes, because the name of the game is to get an appointment, and then of course the holy grail of real estate, which is to get an offer. But if I'm constantly out there hunting for new pheasants, these ones I'm gonna get piles and piles of pheasants that are rotting. I'm not doing anything for my business. My mindset, my focus is incorrect. But I need new contacts. But I only want you going out for new contacts after you have connected and maintained current or old. Okay? We want to make sure that those pheasants don't rot. Any questions for me about this? Yes.
Let's say, I don't have a piece like this, but I have a street sale.
Yeah. Great
Exactly.
question.
Exactly. For week 1, it works. For week 2, 3, it doesn't.
Exactly. So now here's what happens. So in Al's situation, which a lot of us are in, we don't have a very large database, and maybe we have to grow that database, right? So Al has 50, and like I said, for this week. So let's say your goal is 50. Okay, so you got 50. And now, Al, let's say you talk to all of them once. And out of that, maybe 10 of them require a second phone call because you promised them some information. So now your contacts are 60, okay? But Al is absolutely right. What am I going to do? Call the same people now next week? You're going to look like a stalker. You're going to think, what's the matter with this girl, right? So what ends up happening? So for this week, your goal is set. Now from that, you are going to end up with some current leads from this week, right? that you will then bring into next week. So let's say you get the 10 that we talked about this week from calling, you have now 10 current. So next week you talk to your 10 current, maybe twice. So now you've got 20 out of 50. Now you gotta go hunting for 30. 30 new ones. Do you see does that make sense? Does everybody understand? If you don't, please raise your hand. I wanna make sure that you walk away with this concept because this concept is the base of your business. Anybody not understand, please tell me because this is, no, it's not silly. Or you need some help. Okay, so let me come on over here. And so let's talk. How many current people do you have right now? Nothing. I like that honesty. How many of us don't have any clients right now? I know I don't. I don't have anybody active. I have lots of old, but I don't have anybody active. Okay, so 2 people in here. Thank you for your honesty because this is a reality. So in situations like this where you don't have any contacts, what you got to do then is go out and hunt for new ones. So your goal then would be 50 brand new contacts. Okay, you got to go looking for new ones. And then you start that momentum. Okay, so this week it's 50 newly generated. From the newly generated, you're going to get current for the next week. Okay, so out of the 50 new ones that you have, perhaps you'll have maybe 30 from that bunch that are going, yes, I'm thinking I would like more information. So the following week, you now have 30 current people that you have to contact first. Okay, and then you would have only 20 that you would have to go hunting for. You only need 20 more pheasants. Okay, you got 30 that you got to take care of, and now you go looking for 20 more. Does that make sense? You guys are okay now? Make sense to you? Excellent. Thank you for that, because you know what? This is very common, because in real estate, we have, roller coaster up and down. That's why I always joke with my new agents, welcome to feeling bipolar. Because one minute you have a ton of stuff in the pipeline, and it's like, oh my God, all this business, and they're doing offers, and they're thinking about listing, and then something happens, and they pull the rug, and you got nothing. It's like, from up here, you come down here. Sheldon, you've been in the industry.
Before noon.
Before noon. Sheldon, you've been in the industry how long?
Long time.
Long time. I gotta tell you, I have the pleasure of coaching this gentleman. Talk about persistent and consistent, and that's what it takes to succeed. And you follow scripts, like you are very, very mechanical in what you do. You got it down to a T, man.
Well, again, you can always use a retread every now and then.
Well, we all do, myself included. After 20 plus years, I'm always. When I was younger, I thought I knew it all. Right? Now that I'm older, I know nothing. I know nothing. Okay. So now I'm going to take a bit of a breather here because this is what the base of your business plan is. This is the core of your business plan. Okay? So this is a very simple business plan. When you're new in the industry and you haven't had the opportunity to track numbers, or maybe you're a seasoned agent and you haven't tracked your numbers, this is how you commence the process to then move into the next business plan that we're going to go through. Okay? Before I do that, I had a conversation with some ladies this morning. We were talking about the 4 phases of transformation, okay? So, show of hands, when everybody got into this industry, did you feel positive and you were on top of the world? I love that smile. I'm going to make so much money. This is going to be a breeze. How many people felt that way? Right. That's phase 1. That's called ignorance on fire. Okay, that's really what it's actually called is inception. Okay, inception. We come up with a brilliant idea. We're like, oh, I can take on the world. I can do it. And I tell you, honest to goodness, ladies and gentlemen, thank goodness we feel that way. Thank goodness we have those moments of ignorance on fire, because otherwise we would never do anything. We would never strive. We would never dream. Right? So inception is a very important phase. Step 2 of that transformation is called deception. And this is where. That's right. You can say it, I can't. Although, mind you, now with Trump, with the shoot hole, I'm not going to say the word, with his shoot hole countries, I guess it's okay to start swearing, except it's my my New Year's resolution to stop. So you can say, what did you say?
Holy shit.
It's that holy shoot stage. And we start realizing, oh my goodness, this is a little bit harder than I thought, right? Can everybody relate? This is not going to be that easy. I am not going to lose 50 pounds in 2 weeks. I am not going to make 100,000 in 3 days.
90% of you will be out of business in 2 years.
Because of the deception phase.
Most people
Okay,
make
so thank you for
$35,000
saying
a year.
that. What's that?
Most people only make $35,000 a year.
Which is perfectly fine. You know what, as a coach, I've seen so many different types of goals. It's whatever is personal. Some people want to make only 35. I respect that. Some people want to make 200. Some people want to make 500. I respect that too. Some people toggle. I would say the majority of people toggle. 100,000 is pretty typical. 100,000, 100, 150, 180. Those are pretty typical for goals in real estate. But there is no right or wrong. It's whatever works for you, right? So if your goal is 30 or 35, all you got to do is adjust the numbers, right? You just have to. That's all it is. If your goal is 200,000, then you automatically know you got to double those numbers. Then what we're talking about, you need to do 100 contacts a week. But the deception stage is what gets us. And that's where we either make it or we don't. Okay? Deception is the phase that is the toughest because we recognize, oh my goodness, I don't know if I have what it takes to do this. That's where then a lot of emotions come up, and guess what? Your subconscious mind does not become your friend. Can anybody relate to that? That negative self-talk? Right, remember we were talking about that earlier, right? That negative self-talk. And I don't know why, but the mind is not very kind to us during that stage. So what you've got to do is be aware of your thoughts and where are those thoughts coming from. Make plans to overcome that, okay? Put some strategy in place to say, okay, I hear you. I want to go over here, okay? I'd rather go in this direction. Thank you for trying to take care of me over here, but this is where I want to go, okay? And the subconscious mind will help you make excuses, and it will help you blame things, or it will help you be fear-oriented, like procrastination or frozen in fear. And the subconscious mind will only do those things because you are unfamiliar with the task or you're feeling insecure about the task. But it doesn't mean that you're not capable, because you are. It's just about learning a new skill. But the thing is, though, we have to get those emotions that cloud our perception. We have to get that behind us, right? We have to get that behind us in order to be mechanical about what we do. All right, any questions about that so far? So deception is the hardest stage. Having said that, as soon as you start moving through and you start seeing, oh my God, I'm getting leads, I'm getting business, I'm getting appointments, I did my first deal, you start feeling a bit better. That leads you into phase 3, which is transformation. Transformation is also tricky because you will toggle back and forth from transformation to deception. You'll dance between the two, back and forth, until you hit phase 4, which is identity. Identity is, it becomes you. And all of a sudden, you wake up and you have this strong sense of purpose. It is authentically who you are, right? But in order to get through and to that point, you have to get you have to go through those stages. So if you've made it to deception, if you made it to phase 2, and you're having these crazy thoughts and second guessing yourself and putting yourself down, you know what I'm going to say is congratulations. I know it doesn't sound like it's positive, but it is, because it means that you have you transferred yourself into that phase 2. So congratulations. Do not be hard on yourself. Know that you've moved into the next step. A lot of people will give up and look for that next high. A lot of people will do that, right? But in this case here, you've gone into the next phase. And even if you're dancing between transformation and deception, congratulations again, because you've allowed yourself to move forward again, okay? And nurture yourself, take care of you while you go through these, all right? These are important stages. They're important stages. Good morning. Okay, any questions for me about the different phases? Can anybody relate? I have lots of money. Has anybody want to share? Because by sharing, we all learn from this. Anybody want to share experiences? Might turn on a light for someone else. I'd love to hear. Yes, Robin.
I think it takes a little while in this business to sort of figure out what your business is like.
Yes.
And for me, based on the fact that I have kids and a single mom, knowing being realistic about how much I can commit and how that translates to one, that's really important. But two, also, like you said, when you track your numbers, at some point you start to see your cycle. And your business cycle.
Yes.
And my business cycle is consistent for the last
Honest
4
to goodness.
years.
Yes, and I like
So
that,
now I know.
consistent.
Now I
You know, exactly.
And now it's filling the gaps where I know I should.
Bingo.
So it takes a while. Like,
And it
you really
does.
have to go through the process. Just
Did you
keep
enjoy that process?
You know, I'm happy that I know now, because now I know, okay, so this is the time of the year where I don't have a lot of business. I'm very heavy loaded in the beginning, very heavy loaded here, so now I gotta fill that. And as we know, nothing happens overnight. So
Yes.
it's obviously not what I'm doing here that there's a gap, it's what was I doing 3 to 6 months prior,
Right.
or what wasn't I doing?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then now, so it's working, like you said, it's working backwards, but knowing your cycle, knowing your numbers is so vital.
It removes that panic attacks that we have at the beginning of the year, or at the end of a cycle with a client once we've sold the property and now we have to start all over again. It's that what you're sharing with me is you're running your business instead of the business running you. And I remember when I first started tracking my numbers, I mean, Daryl is where I first learned to track numbers. There's 2 people from the King team, right? Does he still make you guys track numbers? He's from the King team? Yes, okay, and do you report to him once a week with those numbers, or do you have to go to the manager now?
Yeah.
Okay, see, when I started with him, we were a small group, we were 5, and so it was him that we went to. And he used to make us do it once a week, we had to go bring him the numbers, and he would discuss them with us, and I hated him for it. And he used to joke with the agents too, because then sometimes the agents would just put numbers together and say, oh, here, I did it, right? And he would say, listen, I know if you're working or not, because the appointments. And I know, and I remember that word, because I remember that him saying that, because now as a coach, I totally get it. I can see when someone's giving me bogus numbers. I can totally see, but that's how it goes. And you know what, by doing that, you're only hurting yourself. What I found was I loved it after a while. I hated the process of getting into that habit, okay? But I loved it afterwards because, like you said, I now knew. And I almost became cocky about it because I now knew I needed to talk to 13 people before I got an actual appointment. And of course, some days it would be 10, some days it would be, 17, give or take. But I was always in and around that number. And it felt good because if I felt down, I focused on that, okay? That's the difference about the business running you and you running your business, all right? Sheldon, you track your numbers like a king. And I like this because last fall, you were like, oh my goodness, I don't have enough, business in the pipeline. But now you're feeling comfortable with what you're doing and you stuck through it. Let me tell you, the conversations we had, if I may share, thank you. The conversations we had where Sheldon was feeling very, very down, but he kept going. Even though his emotional state was like a disaster, he kept taking all the right steps. And now, because he did that, now he's got a good momentum of business going again. That's key. No matter how you feel, your job is this. Who can I call and what can I do today to get an appointment? That's it. Okay? Any questions, guys, about the 4 phases? Does that help? Helps gets it, right? And you know what? No one is immune to it. We each go through it. It doesn't matter who we are. It's just up to us where we end up in that process. Okay, excellent. Let's now go on to the more detailed business plan. I'm going to ask one last time just to be on a certain side. Everybody comfortable with the very simple business plan? Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. Everybody comfortable with contacts, what it means, a contact, and how to track your contacts? Everybody comfortable? Excellent. Okay. So this is what a more detailed business plan looks like. It's the item that's stapled, okay? When you coach with me, you'll either fill that out and we'll do it together, but regardless, I am following this when you coach with me. This is what's in the back of my head, and that's why I always say to the agents, there's a method to my madness, even if you guys don't understand what I'm doing. This is what I'm following in the back of my head. This is my structure to coaching you. So you can see here, there's a corporate charter. Some people call it mantra. Some people call it a statement, a vision statement, a mission statement. However it is that you want to call it is totally up to you. But the first things first is how you want people to see you in this business and how you want people to see you as a human being. The second is 2017. What's the overview? Where did my business come from? What was more successful? What was not successful? Where did the business naturally come to me? Okay, and I like looking at that because if you're investing money somewhere, and I'll show you that a little more in detail as we go along. Let's say you invested $600 a month in social media and you got zero business from your social media, not even one. But yet from your telephone prospecting, you got 33 deals. Well, guess what we're going to focus on? Now, that's not to say that we stop doing social media. We just know not to spend $600 a month on social media. We know to adjust that, okay, and to focus on your telephone prospecting because that's where the money came from. Okay, so we do an overview of 2017. We also look at where we made mistakes. We have to search deep down inside and see what we did right and what we did wrong. 2018 goals, that's where we set what we're going to do, how many listings we're going to get, how many contacts we're going to make in order to make that money. So when we are setting goals for 2018, what we are applying there is your very simple business plan. Okay, so everything that we talked about before now starts to apply in 2018. Okay, the 2018 goals, number 3. Number 4 is expenses. Okay, remember when we did the very simple business plan, we only looked at gross numbers. We did not look at the expenses. Here, we're going to do expense projections. Okay, so now you have an opportunity to take a look at 100,000 gross, what it will actually bring you in your pocket. Okay, what it actually will bring you in your pocket, and then you can make adjustments there because if you've got car expenses, client expenses, advertising expenses, maybe you have an assistant. Rev Canada, we have to put that in there as an expense. Oh, I like that. I know. I love Rev Canada and they love realtors.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
What's that?
For Rev Canada realtors, it's shooting fish in a barrel.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. So they're not too kind to us. But that when you project and when you plan, it won't be devastating for you if you've made a mistake with Rev Canada, okay? And that's what I'm after here. I like this, 2018 transaction source projections. So now based on 2017, what went well, what did not go well, we are now going to set out a plan for 2018, okay? Then we have habits, disciplines, and projects. This is very important. And Adam thankfully came in and allowed me to demonstrate this morning. When you set habits and disciplines and things that you're going to do in order to be a healthy and successful realtor, and when I say healthy because it takes stamina to do this business. You're in and out of properties. You're running on the road the whole time, up and down stairs, like showing properties. And when you get to a certain level, let me tell you, I used to have about 5 appointments a day. And you show in those 5 appointments, through 2 houses, 3 houses, you're up and down those stairs. I used to have a technique. I used to start upstairs and work downstairs. And the reason why is like then I wouldn't be huffing and puffing while I'm trying to sell the property. Because if you go from downstairs and you go upstairs, and then the body gets a little bit tired, now you got to go upstairs, right? So I used to start upstairs and then work my way down because that way it was easier. Let me tell you, you do those stairs up and down several times a day, that gets a little exhausting on the system.
Dinner's at 11 o'clock.
What's that?
You forgot about dinners late at 11 o'clock or later.
You know what? Some people do that. I never did that, but you are absolutely right. And sometimes I actually did showings like that late. They were rare.
I always do that.
At 10:30, I used to bring someone with me. Because if the properties
Offers
were
finishing at
vacant, you know, we used to do offers, till 3 in the morning. But now today it's a little bit easier, thank
You
goodness.
sleep in your native soil too? during the day?
Sometimes. Sometimes. But you know what, it depends on the client. I remember dealing with, it doesn't happen often when we're doing those late night showings. But I had a client that worked for, I think it was FedEx. And so he was on like weird shift work. And we used to get special permission, like always, to do like these late showings. And you know what, sometimes in the summertime when it's bright out, it's light until like 9:30. It's not uncommon to do stuff like that. Did you have a comment or
Oh,
a
no.
question?
No.
Okay. So habits and disciplines come here. This takes a lot of stamina to do this business and to do it well. And I always talk in terms of taking care of your mind, your body, and your emotions. I don't say mind, body, and soul. I say mind, body, and emotions. Because anybody here ever deal with an emotional person and as you negotiate?
Not at all.
Never, right?
No, it doesn't happen.
Never. And when someone got emotional while you negotiated, how did you think of them? Did you think that did you have respect for them and thought they were powerful agents? You thought they were crazy, right? Well, I don't want my agents looking like that. I like my agents to be sound, solid when they're negotiating, and taking care of your mind, your body, and your emotions helps you do that, okay? Because this business can really poke at you. It can poke at you. Okay, your ideal day and your 2018 schedule. I'm going to lump that into one. Your ideal day is setting a schedule because you're your own boss. Now, if you were, let's say, working for me at Tim Hortons, I was your manager at Tim Hortons, you would have a schedule. From 10 till 5, you would have to come in. And from 10 till 1, you would be maybe doing drive-through because that's what I've assigned to you, right? And what do? Listen. You would listen to me because there is that structure. But when it comes to yourself, we don't do that because nobody is watching, right? Nobody is watching. So this schedule becomes your boss, your supervisor. It helps you structure your day so you have a sense of purpose. When you get up, you know exactly what you're going to be doing. Because otherwise, let's go back to the example of me, your manager at Tim Hortons. If you said to me, oh, you know what, Sandra, I don't feel like coming in at 10 o'clock because I was out late last night. And I'll come in around 3 o'clock. I'll come in at 3. Then 3 o'clock rolls in and say, oh, forget it, I don't feel like coming in. But you know what, Sandra? Tomorrow I'm going to do twice as much work. Does this sound familiar? Don't we do Jennifer? I like it. We do that. I've done it. I've done it with all kinds of stuff, whether it be working out, whether it be work, anything, because this is human nature. You are not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not sick in the head, okay? You're totally normal. So a schedule, your ideal day, sets some structure to what it is that you're doing. But here's the thing, though. If you were my employee at Tim Hortons and you did that, how long would you last? Tops. If you're lucky, you might last
2 days.
2 days, right? Like who needs an employee that works like that? That's more of a headache than anything else. But yet we do it to ourselves. Here's the interesting thing. You would respect the job with me as your manager at Tim Hortons more than you're respecting your own business. Okay, so let's bring that respect to ourselves back. Let's set some structure to what it is that we're doing, and the ideal day will help that. Your 2018 schedule outlines, you remember how we said 10 months? It outlines when you're taking time off, when you're not taking time off work, and not just when the money comes, but you're planning it ahead of time, okay? And that gives you, again, some structure, and you can work around what it is. And who's more productive when they have to go away? I don't know what it is. And not only that, but I think I let out pheromones. The minute I have to go away is when all my clients come out.
That's when the phone rings.
So I joke with my agents, it's like, I don't think I should be setting up like an ideal day. I should be planning vacations.
Yeah.
We're gonna set vacations because then that'll stimulate all your business,
If I want some property, I go away.
right?
Yeah.
It's the truth, honest to goodness, I always have an immature giggle about it.
No, it's funny.
It is, it somehow it just, and I think there's something to be said energetically, I don't know. But what it is, is we're gonna be doing this in order to get us nicely organized and feeling good about our business and us managing our own business as opposed to business running us, okay? So not a nice feeling the other way. Okay, so here's the corporate charter, very detailed, you can see. My enduring purpose, future focus, timeless values, guiding principles. This is very complicated. If you are very good at writing, go for it. I've left it in as an example because it's really detailed. But you don't have to do this. You can just say a two-line thing. I look forward to helping people find homes. That's it, done. Done. Whatever it is, keep it simple. Yeah.
Do you mind if we just go back to the ideal workday for a second?
Go for it.
So, it's very, like, we've been able to be quite consistent with our time during the day.
Right.
Morning specifically,
Right.
especially when the weather's nice, we're door knocking, you know, we start at a certain point, we stop at a certain point. Like I said, now that I know my business, we take Fridays off as much as we can, because we often do open houses on weekends, and we were burning out. So we do that, which I think is an important thing to do.
Agreed.
Because taking an afternoon off here and there to go run an errand, you're still kind of working, but taking the day off is a day off.
Yes.
But that being said, we talk about our ideal work day, but when we get busy, this is, I think, the thing that throws everybody off, is as soon as you start getting listings and buyers and this and that, all of a sudden it's like, I gotta do a CMA, I gotta do a listing appointment, and so you immediately stop doing the calls, the prospecting.
Right.
And that is where I think that's
Where
where
you
the
trip and
cycle.
fall. That's where you trip and fall. And I can speak from experience. That's the reason why, and I'm so glad you raised that, because that's the reason why I set up counting your contacts the way that I do. Because you have to take care of that business. Because I've been in the situation where business that I had in my hand fell by the wayside because I thought I needed to hunt for 60 new pheasants. Right? And so then I forgot what I already had. It becomes like driving a vehicle. Sometimes you put on the gas, sometimes you ease up on it, sometimes you close, sometimes you put on the brakes. That's how I look at prospecting, okay? And what I found is the more listings I got, the more buyers that I got, the less prospecting I had to do. And that's where I joke about becoming a little bit cocky, because from doing 6 to 10 hours of prospecting a week, I would do maybe an hour a week, 2 hours, half an hour. All I needed was to do a little bit, get that 1 or 2 leads. Once I got that, I was fine, because it becomes like a snowball effect. If I have 5 listings, when I was selling full time, my personal goal was to have 5 listings as an inventory, and I would watch that inventory. And if one sold, then I would kick up my prospecting. Like, that's how I would do it. And then I would rejuvenate my inventory, as I would call it. Okay. But that's where I got a little bit cocky, because all of a sudden now what I used to do in 6 hours, I used to be able to do in 1 hour. But that's the good news, though, because for those of us that are starting up new and maybe don't have any, you don't have to do this that long. You need maybe a good 60 days, but you got to give it. You have to give it, exactly. Once you give it, then you'll see that then, because all you're doing is getting new leads, right? And sometimes that's a little bit dry and it's frustrating, but you can't give up. And it can happen. I like what you were saying.
That's the real estate roller coaster.
It is, right? But if you
get all these leads, you get busy.
Exactly.
You start showing, you forget to prospect. Your last prospect buys, and then you got no business, and then you're back to square one again.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what happens. And I wish, a lot of these real estate coaching companies will say, we'll eliminate that roller coaster for you. I say, what, good luck. Let's talk reality, okay? What ends up happening is your ability to recover is a lot better, is a lot easier. But do we always have that little bit of a roller coaster? Yes. Instead of taking nosedives, though, your rolls become hills. But that's real estate, and that's why I like to use the analogy of driving. Sometimes you have to really press to give that vehicle momentum. Sometimes you got to ease up. Sometimes you take your foot off altogether, and sometimes you press on the brakes. Okay, it's very important. Managing your contacts is everything that you need to do in this industry. That's the simplest thing. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it, at least to start. Of course, we have to, there's a lot more to it. There's skill, there's strategy, there's building relationships. Like, I get all of that, but for today, all I want you guys to do is walk away with the notion of how to track your contacts. The rest we can fix up for you afterwards. That becomes easy, okay? That's a good point. Thank you both for raising that. Okay, so when it comes to here now, 2017, so I think you get the idea of setting like a mission statement. Everybody can do it a little bit differently, and that's totally up to you. Here's where you are now doing your 2017 overview, okay? And you can see right at the front, I'm so sorry, I can't reach because it's too short. You can see up here, many lessons were learned in 2016, it says here. That should be 2017. That's just a bit of a typo, so forgive us. Many lessons were learned in 2017. What were those lessons? So now let's do a little bit of an overview, and you guys can fill it out as we go along. 2017, does anybody want to share what mistakes they made? Although I hate saying that word because there's no such thing as a mistake, but just to label it, a mistake. What challenges did you have? What mistakes did you make? What would you like to change? Yes, Mo?
2 things I want to mention. First of all, don't give up. And then don't assume, like, he's not a buyer, I think him wasting time. Don't assume in upfront.
Yes. Don't assume. That's really good. And keep going. I like that. So you would put here in 2017, I made the mistake of giving up or assuming. And you know what? That is so true. Never, ever assume. Do you ever come across a client you thought, yeah, right, like they're going to buy? Anybody?
Of course so.
Right? I have a really interesting story to share. And this happened many years ago. And I had a side call on one of my listings. It was on Sunset Beach. And Sunset Beach at that time was not what it looks like today. There was a lot of properties that were, in transition. So it was on Sunset Beach, and this girl called me, and she wanted to take a look, and I showed it to her. This girl looked like a kid. She was maybe 19, 20 years old, 21 years old. And she said to me that her boyfriend travels a lot on business, and so she's going to be taking a look at the properties, and when she likes something, she's going to call him, and when he's in town, we'll take a look. So I thought, okay, no problem. I didn't think anything of it because my only concern, because I had the advice to always treat everybody A++. I got that advice from my previous broker, Brian Walker. He was an absolute rookie. He said never ever assume. I got lucky that, so I thought, okay, I'm never going to assume. A++ client, she's a kid, okay, fine. So I go to show the property, and she didn't like it. She goes, but you know what, I really like working with you. And she liked working with me because I took her seriously. So I thought, okay, no problem. I said, I'm happy to do whatever. And so I started showing her some more properties, and lo and behold, we found a property in the Lake Wilcox area. And it was really an interesting property because the outside from the road, it looked like a real sugar shack. It looked like a dump. But when you walk in, the back was beautifully renovated, and it looked like a spa, and it backed onto a lake. And she loved it. So she calls the boyfriend in, and I meet him, and his name is Jeremy. He looked familiar, but I didn't think much of it. I just, did a service. So we bring it to offer, and I go to do an offer with May Young, who's still in the industry at Century 21, and she looks at my clients and she says, Sandra, I think this guy's qualified. Like, is this actually like a legit? And I said, yes. I was even offended. I said, May, do you understand who you're dealing with? Like, I was nice and cocky, and I said, I wouldn't waste my time if they were not qualified. I said, can we move forward with this offer, please? And she kept going. So we closed it. We of course, home inspection and all of that. So closed it. They moved in, and I was happy for them, and I kept in touch with Karen. And she loved horseback riding. I love horseback riding. I was wanting to get my daughter into horseback riding. Stephanie was about 4 years old at that time. No, older, forgive me, older. And so she told me where to go. Like, we kept in touch, right? She recommended a nice stable and blah, blah, blah. She said, oh my God, you have to come check out the house. And this was now a year after. And I said, okay, you know what, I'll come. She goes, remember how it was ugly pink in there and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, I remember that. I didn't. But anyways, I said, you know what, I remember, I'm excited to see. I said, I'm in the area on Friday, I'll pop by right after. So I did. I went by to see her, say hello. She showed me the house. They were really excited to show me the changes they made. And as I'm walking through the home, I'm noticing that they're all kind of interesting artifacts, and they're from all over the world. I'm starting to think, like, what the heck? Oh, this is when we were in Africa. Oh, this is when we were in England. Oh, this is when we were in Australia. I'm like, wow, you guys do a lot of traveling. Eh? She goes, yeah, it's kind of fun. So now I get to the fireplace, and I see several Juno awards. I didn't know what Junos, I knew what Junos were, but I was too busy putting food on the table. I didn't pay attention to this stuff. Little did I know. So when I looked at the Juno, I thought maybe it was an artifact, like, you know how some people collect all kinds of stuff? I thought maybe this is like an artifact that they collected someone's Junos or something. On there, it said Juno Awards, Our Lady Peace, Jeremy Taggart. Does anybody know the band Our Lady Peace?
Yeah.
The drummer was my client. My client. Never, ever, ever assume. And it was funny because this guy did have an air about him. He was very young, but he had an air about him. And when it came down to getting the deposit, he had difficulty because he was always flying all over the place. I did not know what he did. I thought maybe he was a dot-commer, because back then dot-commers were popular. Today it's not, right? But back then it was. But I didn't understand. So he had difficulty with the deposit. I said, Jeremy, don't worry about it. If you're busy, I'll go get your deposit. You just have to instruct your bank. As long as your bank is comfortable with me picking up the deposit and doing that footwork for you, I'm totally fine. I only focused on servicing them. That's all I did. And there it was, Our Lady Peace. So never ever assume. Never assume. Anybody else want to share any challenges from last year or changes that
Well, I
they
was
made?
gonna add to your story.
Okay, good, tell me.
I had a similar client. They actually came from a place that that they were renting from one of my sellers. I sold them a place. Again, they didn't look like they could afford anything.
Right.
The husband somehow in giving the signed envelope to go to the mortgage broker.
Right.
Misplaced the deposit.
Oh.
So I had to go to I had to go to the father-in-law to get a replacement deposit. Anyway, my mortgage broker calls me on the phone and says, Charlotte, I just spoke to the father. Do you know who this guy is? And I go, no. My client's last name was Chevalo. The father's George Chevalo, the boxer. So I went and met George Chevalo. I spent the whole afternoon with him. Nicest guy in the world.
Isn't it amazing?
He's like a real life Rocky Balboa.
Oh my God, what a great experience.
Again, don't judge a book by its cover.
Never. And you know what I love about, these stories, and I'm sure you guys have stories as well, or you're going to have some stories. The nice thing about this industry is you just don't know who you're going to meet. I used to love that about it, and I still do, but when I was out there prospecting full-time, like selling full-time, I used to love that. I didn't know. I could look at it with eyes of curiosity and discovery. Yes, Robin?
On the same token, when you talk about not assuming, I can't tell you this, and this is the part that hurts, because I cannot tell you how many people I have prospected that I've spoken to who have said they're never going to sell.
Yes.
And what do I say? And I have to say that I really respect what you're saying, Sandra, because when you've been taught in the past from different coaching and going even to, book feeding all these people, it's prospect, new. No, the other contacts don't matter so much.
Yeah.
So if someone says, I'm not going to sell, you're like, okay, well then I'm not going to bother. Or if they say within like 3 months or a year, I've learned my lesson. Can't tell you how many times I end up seeing their property on MLS, and I'm like, you know what? If I just stuck with it, we had a great conversation.
Right?
I didn't follow up because when they said I'm definitely not going to sell, and then they do. So
Yeah,
follow-up
absolutely.
is so vital.
They are a
because-
contact, even if you didn't talk about real estate.
Yeah.
It's about building that relationship.
But we assume they're not going to sell, and then they do.
And I
So
like that.
they-
That's a different spin on assuming.
Yeah.
So we assume that maybe they're too young, or we assume that they don't have what it takes or whatever, and never assume that they're not gonna sell. Excellent. I've got hand over here, and then I'll get to you next.
So there's an alternative to this
Uh-huh.
as well, though. There's clients you need to fire. as well.
Absolutely.
And so I've had to fire a client last year because it was a commercial client. They wanted to purchase a multiplex.
Yes.
And I would put all these offers together. We'd come to offers many times. They send a buyer rep. You know, they're older people, so you know you assume that they're good for the money.
Yeah.
They liquidated the business, was in cash. The problem was every time we went to offers, they put 1,000 conditions in the commercial offer that would never get accepted. And I did this over and over and over and over with them. And if you do good at commercial, you have to look outside of MLS. You have to go on ICI World and things like this. So you're not to produce content for commercial investors. You have to put packages together. So instead of just putting someone on like an MLS auto update, you're like literally putting like 25, 30, 40 page package and giving it to them every week.
Yeah.
And so I learned that there's some clients you need to fire for your own productivity.
Totally. I like that. So see, this is now another lesson learned from 2017 for someone. Now you're talking in terms of commercial. I'm going to add to that, and then I'll get to your point, Sheldon. When I was a brand new agent, I remember I got these leads. You know, Daryl would give leads, and I called, and one of them ended up being Mrs. Martinovic. God bless her. She was an older lady. She was so sweet. She was probably in her 60s. Why would a nice little old lady lie to me, right? But now, not only that, but as a new agent, I was all excited because she actually returned my call. Oh my God, and she wanted to see properties. Oh my God, I have a client. Instead of me properly qualifying her and making sure that she was a solid lead, I was too excited and I thought, oh my God, I got something. Because when we're a new agent, we'll pretty much take anything, right? We must operate like we have 10 hot leads at a time. So I didn't. That was my lesson. And I took her all over the place, and she wanted to see the grossest of houses.
Did you take the dry cleaners too to pick up her dry cleaners?
Honestly, I did it.
How about the grocery store?
No, I didn't, but I've heard of that. I didn't.
I have a story that I'm not going to say.
I like that. No, I didn't do that
It's
because
not-
I never took people in my car. I always met them at the property. I never put them in my car. It was really a rare, because I don't know when the last time they showered is. And it happened to me. I put Grizzly Adams in my car and I took them on like the whole family. And my son was little, so I thought I was being gracious. Oh, their little boy, here, use the car seat. And then the father, Grizzly Adams, of course, said, oh, thank God he didn't throw up because he's been really sick. Are you kidding me? And my son, at that time, his immune system was like a disaster. So here I am disinfecting this car seat, and I'm totally grossed out. And I thought, that's it. I will never. Our lawyers don't drive people around. They don't come pick me up for my appointments. My doctor doesn't. I don't know. Does anybody doctor come and get them? Bring them to the no. So I took that attitude, and but that worked for me. Everybody's a little bit different. I'm not saying that my way is the right way. It just happened for me. When I saw Grizzly Adams, I fired Grizzly Adams, quite honestly. Long story, but I won't bother with that. But Mrs. Martinovic. So we took a look, and she was so diligent. She even said, I'm going to put an offer on this property. I would make arrangements, somebody watch my kids because my kids were little at the time. Go like crazy, get the offer going. As soon as I had the offer ready, she would call me just before, like clockwork. Oh, we changed our mind. She just kept me going. And then when she did this, like maybe the second time, I'm now working late and I'm talking to her. Hi, Mrs. Martinovic, I got some properties, wanted to show you and blah, blah, blah. And had a good conversation with her. It was just me and Gail Herring. Gail Herring used to work with us. She's now over in Home Life Bayview. And she comes, I'll never forget, she came, like, poked her head like this over the, she goes, oh, Sandra, are you working with Mrs. Martinovic? I said, yeah. I said, oh, shoot. I said, are you working with her too? Because it wasn't uncommon, because back then we were just a small group of 5, and you get all these phone calls coming in. If they called on 2 separate homes, 2 separate occasions, sometimes they would be assigned to more than one of us. So we had this understanding amongst ourselves saying, hey, listen, if that's the case, then we would either work on it together or here, you take it. You got a lot farther with them. So I thought she was working with Mrs. Martinovic. She goes, no. She goes, when I was with Remax, I worked with her for 2 years.
She
She never bought. And she likes looking at really gross houses, right? And I said, yeah. She goes, yeah, I think she's like a little bit sick in the head. There's something wrong. I had been working with Mrs. Martinelli at least a year, not to mention the 2 years at Gale and goodness knows who else. And all because I didn't qualify her properly. So there's maybe another lesson learned, right? You're too excited because you don't have any other business going on. You're excited because you got somebody responding. Okay, another lesson learned. Any other lessons? You had
I was
something.
just gonna go back to Robin's comment. Even worse than misjudging that people are gonna listen to things is you don't have it until you get a signature, especially when you look on MLS and one of your best friends is listed to someone else. Your family member is listed to someone else.
And it happens.
And that's when you have the big, I've just been punched in the gut.
Yeah, and
That
that's.
puts you back in the self.
No,
does,
So
it does.
whenever someone says, oh, you're the greatest, we never do business with anyone else, and you don't have them sign.
Never assume.
And then you get that phone call. Oh, we're sorry, but this came up, or we just had to do business with
Right.
this person. So it's gonna happen.
It is gonna happen. That's a really good lesson too, because show of hands, family members that listed with someone else. Me.
My sister bought with another agent.
Oh, I like that. I'm a pain in the one you're saying.
Have you talked to your sister anymore?
Your
It
ex-sister.
happens. It happens. You know, and the funny thing is what I learned, because I remember my cousin, I mean, we grew up together, we were like sisters, like there was a few of us. And she goes to tell me, oh yeah, we're thinking about selling the home, it was in Markham, and I remember, and I was like, oh, okay, and I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna at least ask me to come in for an interview, as a minimum. At that time, being a single mom, the way that I was, I could have used the flipping cash. And wouldn't you figure that you would help, right? So she then comes, we're at a family picnic, and she's all excited, oh my God, guess what, we listed our home.
Like, what?
Exactly.
Did you
And I
punch
had
it?
to sit there and go, oh, isn't that great? And she goes, well, if you got any buyers, bring them.
I think it should be.
I hate it when they say that.
Divorce is the nastier than
My
buying.
sister
No.
said if you found a good house, let us know, we'll show it to the agent.
To the agent.
Yeah, to the
Wonderful.
agent,
I
yeah.
think there should be a
Wonderful.
whole class or course just built on how to deal with your friends and
Family.
family.
Yeah, friends and family, yes.
One thing you have to remember, what George Sinet told me, he's like, Raquel, you have to remember that people don't owe you anything. And that's.
Well, I'm
what
gonna
I
take
think
it a
really
step,
has to
because
be.
that's how George would typically say, because he's like, you know,
Right.
here's the reality too. They don't want you to know their personal business.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
And because how can they present this image that they are perfect and life is great, meanwhile they're going bankrupt? So, but we naturally want to take it personal. So here's another thing that you can add, is never to take anything personal. Never take it personal, yes.
I'm gonna tell you, started telling me if I should take it personal. We have a warehouse, my husband has a commercial product business, 60,000 square feet, the lease was coming up. I just got registered, and he came home and he said, well, I'm gonna go with the agent that found me the place. My own husband. This way, I got the business, but I threatened to divorce him. That's how I bullied him into giving me the deal. Because he's like, you know what? The agent said you can go along and learn how to negotiate.
Thank you.
I lost it.
I would
The
too.
fight that went on in my house.
I get it. And, okay, but now that is something that obviously is a little personal.
Yeah.
This is where he doesn't believe in you, which can also happen with friends and family. Because you know what, let's be real, okay, and we have to be open and honest with ourselves, okay? When it comes to my cousin, I partied with my cousin. These are people that see the good, the bad, the ugly. The last thing they see is you as a professional. So you can't take it personal, because it's like, okay, it's just one of those things. So two things can happen. They don't view you as a professional because they've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, right? You can't take it personal. We might do the same thing. We might not take someone seriously, you know, and we might hide and go and take, you know. So, but again, he is not taking it personal. That's really hard though.
That was, and at the end, like I got him a great rate and all that.
And did you
at
tell
the end-
him, see, I told you?
At the end, he said, you did a wonderful job,
Uh-huh.
but you didn't have to fight with me so much to get the business. I'm like, I threatened him, it was so.
Well, you know what, you found, I get it, and that's okay, you handled it.
I handled it.
She
Not
handled that
professional.
objection, ladies and gentlemen. You know, objection handling, you clearly did that, so you did a good job.
Yeah.
Excellent. But you know what, the key is not to take it personal. And what I find is, it's easier said than done, clearly. But we have to remember, when it comes to people that are close to us, they see the good, the bad, the ugly, and they might be hiding something themselves, right? There's an image, they don't want to share their personal things, you know, I respect that, I do, I get it at the end of the day. And I gotta be honest too, guys, I did not get, you would assume that it would be your friends and family that would help you the most, right? I did not get that. It was strangers that appreciated me.
And then sometimes your friends and family are the most demanding of you.
Yes.
And expect the most favors.
Yes.
And they're the ones that want to negotiate your commission to zero.
Yeah, you know, I remember one of my other family members, I got them such an amazing deal on their house. And it was to the point that when we signed the deal and we left, she made that joke, start the car. Now, do you ever remember that idea,
Yeah.
that IKEA commercial? She's like, start the car, as we're walking out with the offer, right? But still to this day, she appreciates it, but her mother keeps talking about what a terrible job I did. That house has tripled in value, tripled. We got it at least 80,000 under market value at that time. So it's tripled, at least tripled in value. She's made a lot of money there. But start the car, and it still wasn't good enough. So you can't, don't worry, you're right, you know. But the key is, you take these.
I stole a client 2 houses. 2 houses I stole, literally. And then they got mad because I didn't bring his wife flowers.
I love it. You can't win. But it's okay. So the key is, don't take it personal. So that's another lesson. I hope you guys are jotting this down, because I want you guys, whatever is personal to you, might as well start filling out your business plan. Okay, so here's the other spot here that becomes important. Where did my business come from? So clearly this agent tracks their numbers effectively, and they can see that 39% came from prospecting, repeat referral 20, ad or sign calls 21, flyers, website, social media, and off you go, miscellaneous. Okay, so that's where your business came from. Now, if you're not tracking your numbers, do a guesstimate. Just do it, start, okay? That way then at least next year you'll have a better idea, because now you'll be able to track it a little bit better. So for this year, guesstimate it if you haven't tracked your numbers. They also go down to look at sellers and buyers. They had 74% sellers, 26%